At this point, we all understand that Dreadnoughts are deadly and powerful Space Marine war engines that act as both combat walkers and life support systems for fallen Astarte warriors. By placing the mortal remains of a fallen Space Marine hero inside one of these cybernetic constructs, the fatally crippled soldier can continue to fight on for the Emperor of Mankind and bring honor to his chapter. And although the functionality of these walkers is cumbersome compared to the demigod-like physiques of the Space Marines, the Entombed Battle Brother becomes even deadlier in almost every aspect of war. However, for those Space Marine chapters that specialize in wielding the etheric powers of the warp, the Dreadnought design must also be altered to facilitate the use of these psychic powers in their death. This means that major alterations must be made to the standard Imperial Castaferum pattern Dreadnought in order to be utilized by the warriors of the Chamber Militant of the Inquisition's Ordo Malleus, the Grey Knights. And with that said, I want to welcome you guys back to another 40 Facts about the 40K universe. I am your host, Gersh1, and today we're going to be talking about Grey Knight Dreadnoughts. If you guys are new to the channel, we post Warhammer 40K lore videos every single day. What I try to do is I create a 40 Facts video with a lore portion in the beginning, a hobby portion in the middle, and then a community portion at the end where we just discuss some questions that you guys leave off in the previous 40 Facts video. So if you guys have suggestions or just want to talk about the 40K universe, comment down in the comment section below. But with all that said, let's get into 40 Facts on the Grey Knight Dreadnoughts. Unlike other Space Marine chapters, being wired into the chassis of a Dreadnought is not seen as a great honor by the Grey Knights. These battle brothers would much rather spend all eternity buried in the cool shadows of the dead fields beneath the chapter's fortress monastery on Titan. However, these desires come second to the need of the chapter, and so if the Grey Knight finds himself on the brink of death and still clinging to life, it is the duty of the chapter's apothecary to keep him alive long enough to be placed within the metal chassis of a Dreadnought. And every Grey Knight, given this opportunity, has answered the call to serve the Imperium in their death. Their will to continue the fight leads them to consent to the transfer. Once the Battle Brother has become a Grey Knight Dreadnought, he is one of the rarest and most advanced Dreadnought variants in Imperial service. This rarity is due to the Aegis system, a complex network of protective prayers, runes, and other wards which are inscribed into the chassis of the Dreadnought and psychically charged to provide better protection from the sorcerer's powers of demons and other servants of chaos. It literally is a walking tank designed to stomp through the battlefields of a demon world. They are also enhanced to provide their teams with greater psychic defenses. This is possible as a result of the cyber circuitry that is incorporated into the Dreadnought sarcophagus, and which can be linked to its own Aegis field to the psychic defenses deployed by nearby Grey Knight Battle Brothers, thus creating a series of reinforced psychic wards that is much stronger than the individual Grey Knights can project on their own. This defensive ability coupled with the ubiquitous Dreadnought armaments make Grey Knight Dreadnoughts unbelievably deadly on the battlefield. And although becoming a Dreadnought is something most Grey Knight Battle Brothers will avoid, the value that these weapons of war provide for the chapter is unequaled. Each and every walker is a bulldozer of destruction, a fountain of knowledge, and a relic of the long history of the chapter. Every Grey Knight Battle Brother understands that these legendary heroes represent the living embodiment of the chapter's past victories, great deeds, fallen heroes, unquestionable loyalties, and proven honor. In this way, they serve the chapter as a potent symbol of who they are and what they stand for in the service of the Imperium of Man and the Emperor. These Dreadnoughts provide the Grey Knights with a legendary past which many living Battle Brothers strive to emulate. This makes them precious to the chapter and worthy of the utmost respect as they are venerated for their wealth of past experiences in facing the worst enemies of mankind, as well as the wise counsel that they routinely provide for their brethren. As a matter of fact, each of the Grey Knight's 8 brotherhoods maintains their own Dreadnoughts, and most are past Grey Knight Grandmasters or Captains. Yet some amongst these honored ancients were once just low-ranking battle brothers who demonstrated exceptional courage and heroism in battle. And as only the most worthy are placed within the formidable cybernetic shells of a Dreadnought, it is seen as perhaps the greatest honor that the chapter can bestow on a battle brother. Like other chapters, the Dreadnoughts of the Grey Knights are only awakened from their long cybernetic slumbers at times when victory cannot be achieved through mortal means alone. It is at these points of crisis that the greatest heroes of the chapter need to be awoken to fight once more in the defense of the Imperium. It is the Master Armorer of the Grey Knights who enters the Chamber of Heroes deep in the bowels of the Fortress Monastery in order to begin the awakening process. Dreadnoughts are only ever awoken in times of dire need, as the chapter's grandmasters feel the extensive reliance of these ancient warriors is a dishonor to the gifts that they provide. Each and every one of these dreadnoughts performed an unbelievably remarkable feat or fought a legendary foe in the name of the Emperor of Mankind, just like the ancient Aeneas, who served as the Grand Master for 55 years before being interned after being mortally wounded in combat against the Chaos Sorcerer Ahriman, or the Venerable Orias, who was interned within his dreadnought in the 39th millennium after dueling with the demon prince Herperitus, the Plague Lord of the Death Guard Traitor Legion. Now, since the creation of the Grey Knights chapter, modifications to the standard design has created 4 major variations of Grey Knight dreadnoughts. The most recognized is the Venerable Dreadnought, which follows the master-crafted and highly ornate design of the standard Venerable Dreadnoughts of other chapters. There is also the Mortis Dreadnought, which was created as a supreme but most importantly stable firing platform equipped with long-range heavy weapons like las cannons, autocannons, and missile launchers. In the same vein as the Mortis, the Hellfire variant was designed for long-range fire support, but specialized in a higher output of fire to destroy huge mobs of demons. And finally we have the Doomglaive, which is the rarest variant that replaces the Dreadnought standard loadout with a potent anti-psyker heavy side cannon. This weapon is exclusive to the Grey Knights as it fires high-caliber, psychically charged, ritually inscribed silver-tipped bolts called Psy Bolts. This specialized ammunition vaporizes psychic creatures in an instant. All of these elements showcase how a Grey Knight Dreadnought is one of the chapter's most fearsome warriors. Any opponent unlucky enough to find themselves in front of one of these is going to be completely obliterated. And that's the lore on the Grey Knights Dreadnought. I hope you guys enjoyed that lore portion of the video. Now for the hobby portion of the video, I don't have a Dreadnought for me to actually build or paint or anything like that. I'm just still working on the same old stuff that I have been in the past. I haven't actually been able to touch it, but it's the Onager Doomcrawler that I started painting, and it's kind of boring because it's mostly just painting black, silver, and copper. I haven't gotten into any of the cool details or anything, so I'll save that for another video. What I want to do now is move on over to the next portion, which is me answering or responding to the comments that you guys left off in the last 40 facts video, the 40 facts and lore on the leader of the navigators, the Patternova in 40K. If you guys have more questions for me, or you guys would like me to react to something going on in the hobby or in the lore, just comment down in the comment section below. But let's get right into it. This question comes from Carrie Vaught. Are navigators on Space Marine barges a member of a chapter, or do they belong to the Navigator guilds? All navigators belong to a navigator house. They are sanctioned psychers, and they are completely separate from the Space Marines. They probably are going to spend their entire life on that battle barge, but they're not serfs. They're not like Astartes warriors. They're not anything like that. So very different, separate things. Next question comes from MPC123. Oh, and by the way, if you want to learn more about that whole world, I actually did create a 40 facts and lore on the Imperial Navy, which kind of explains the same concept, but for the Imperial Guard or the Imperial Navy. Whereas, like, you see the different the splits, basically, like the divisions between all of the different segments of the Imperial forces that are on one battle barge or on one ship or anything like that. So 40 facts and lore on the Imperial Navy, I think it's called. So MPC123 says, not really much of a question, but thank you for answering my previous one. I just saw the fly like right next to me. I saw it. But thank you for answering my previous one about humanity and the complete Webway project. And yes, we would love to see you make a vid on it. On the completed Webway project, yeah, definitely. I think it would be a lot of fun, and you're welcome for answering that question. I can't really remember what we said, but yes. This next comment comes from Sapper12B. Orcs growl, snarl, and bark and understand each other perfectly. Well, so do dogs. Kind of, not really though, because that's the initial. Like if you have ever taken your dog to the dog park and you let them loose, there is a moment of kind of like they don't know what to do. They're sniffing each other, checking each other's vibe, and all that kind of stuff. But it's not like our communication, where if like we were to go into a party or a social event, we communicate with each other through our like vocabulary, which is how we would establish certain like norms, social norms. Whereas like with dogs, you know, one playful action to one dog might be interpreted as a aggressive action to another dog. So there isn't like a there isn't as a straightforward line between the message that's being said through body language as it is through snarls and growls as it is through like just basic speaking, I guess, if that makes sense. Next comment comes from Thatchet Fish Blue. Thank you so much again. You're welcome. Your questions usually, or your comments usually float to the very top. I don't know why this happens. I don't know how like YouTube has done this, but I've seen this throughout the entire history of me being on YouTube. There are certain users whose just comments get placed on a certain level of the chart. Whether it's way at the bottom or at the top. But yeah, I have the fortunate, in order to combat that, just read through the comments, thumb up whatever you want me to react to, or comment to that comment, and then it pushes it up. But funny enough, this has no comment. But anyways, I have the unfortunate habit of overcomplicating simple subjects that I spend too much time analyzing. Yes, it did make sense. I didn't consider the noise sound made learnt over time by tribes becoming adopted into basic communication. Oh, so it's kind of in the same theme of just talking about orcs and if growling and stuff is their way of communicating. My contacts is falling off. So, yeah. Next question comes from Doomslayer. Instead of humanity relying on the warp and navigators for faster than light travel, why don't they just use wormholes and quantum mechanics? Because they haven't figured it out. Remember that Adeptus Mechanicus priests don't even know how a toaster works, or at least that's what the meme suggests. It suggests that it's like venerated because it's old technology, but they just haven't figured it out yet, and they can't just go to the Necrons and be like, can you please explain to us how your ships travel faster than light? Because they would get wrecked. They can't go to the Tau either, or like steal their information, just because when you have xenotechnology, you're supposed to burn it, not try to discover it. To the Adeptus Mechanicus, who would be in charge of trying to reverse engineer this technology, in their religion, I guess you could say, or in their belief, xenotechnology is corrupted technology. The machine spirit inside of that inside that device must be freed from that corruption by destroying it. That's how technology is stagnant. My nose is doing something really weird. Then the next question comes from the Senate. I think the reason for the grunts in Hell's Reach was because there was no orc dialogue in the book, and it made them more monstrous. Haven't read the book, so I can't confirm the dialogue thing. That actually does make sense. It's kind of difficult to portray orcs sometimes in like fan animation or in even like the animated stuff that GW produces, like this latest one with I think it was like an orc kill team fighting a Deathcore of Krieg kill team. It's difficult to like not make them so goofy and or make them sound so like cartoonish because of the way they sound. They speak all weird. Jeremy Brooks says, I did answer your question, right? I think so. Yes. Yeah. Jeremy Brooks says, "Hey, feel better, dude. Great video, great painting in the miniatures as well. Thank you." And I remember one time I got really, really sick when I was in middle school, and it lasted for about like 2 weeks. It was the flu. Well, it wasn't just the flu because I had to have antibiotics in order to get rid of it. But then I was never the same afterwards. Like, taste was different. I started liking things that I didn't like before, and then because of the taste, and then like just my energy level was off and stuff like that. And I feel like this is happening now. Like, I don't feel like I'm at 100% right now. Every day I wake up, I feel like there's something weird. Like right now, my nose, like it feels like it's stuffy, but I've blown my nose a bunch of times, and the cough kind of went away. I don't know, it's weird. And it doesn't help too that like we have this umbrella of COVID, where everybody's saying like, the symptoms of COVID might not be detected by the tests and blah 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 blah, blah. So it's just like it gets into your head, and then it becomes this whole weird thing of like you making yourself sick, and yeah, it's crazy. Next question comes from Why I Hate the World. Hey man, get well. You should probably get the Rona test just to be sure. Yeah, I did. And I was fine. I've had it done. Well, I had it done twice, but it wasn't like this most recent time. Yeah, they said I was fine. I had all the symptoms. I even got other people sick, but they said no, you don't have it. Solar Rat says, if the Tau are able to be freed from ethereal control through Commander Farsight's blade, would other Tau then have the possibility to also free through similar psychic stresses like possession or being close to a demon or a big demon? I think we talked about this in one of the Greater Wall episodes, but I would do a quick little response because I see that I'm kind of going long on time. It wasn't the Commander Farsight's blade that broke the ethereal curse or power. It's the fact that they died. The demons killed them, so they weren't there anymore. And so I don't think that GW is going to continue with the idea that there is like pheromone control or like psychic control from the ethereals. It's all social engineering, similar to what's happening in North Korea now, where those people are almost like falsely believing in their dictator, what's his name, Kim Jong-il or whatever, because of fear for them, and it's prosperity for the Tau. The Tau Empire is prosperous, therefore, like there's nothing to fear. And with the Fire Warrior cast, you can't obviously you can't say like, oh, so Fire Warriors are happy because they're dying. No, that's their role. That's their whole concept. They are venerated by I don't know if venerated would be the right word, but they are praised by the other cast for their sacrifice. So I think it's all social engineering that is being created, and that is being perpetuated by the ethereals, which keeps the people in line. I almost like to think of like, I used to watch a lot of like those old school like 80s and 90s sitcoms where like it's a cult mentality, it's a small town mentality of like everybody has to be like this. It's a cookie cutter world and all this kind of stuff. Same thing with the ethereals, to a higher, a more grimdark extent, obviously, which some of those situations could have happened that way too. But yeah, so I hope that makes sense. Elias Ravenetti says, are you still holding Safemoon? Yes, I'm still holding Safemoon. Safemoon is a crypto coin that I bought a while back. There's a bunch of videos on YouTube that explain how to get Safemoon and what Safemoon is. And I've talked to a lot of friends who are in the crypto world and who make investments, like sound investments and everything like that. And they all came to the same conclusion that although Safemoon may not have been the best investment at that time, there is just so much money in it at this point that for it to just go to zero is probably not going to happen anytime soon. Does that mean that it's going to shoot back up tomorrow? No, but it will shoot back up, and it's probably going to hit an all-time high sometime in the next altcoin cycle. And the reason for that is if you look at their team, they're still pretty active. The project is still holding on. And then it just kind of reminds me of what happened with Dogecoin, AMC, and with GameStop. I remember when I bought into AMC and it reached like $17 and everybody was like, okay, at $17, that's it. It stayed around the teens for a really, really long time. A lot of negativity was thrown at all these different YouTubers who were like promoting like the squeeze and all this kind of stuff. and then boom, it shoots up to $70. Now I think it's at around like $32 or $31. But that goes to show you that even in those times of like of most people being fearful, that's the time when you need to be greedy. That's like an old like saying or whatever. Which is why I've bought more Safemoon at this time. It's probably going to go lower in September. Just and don't buy things just because I say to buy things. But it is going to hit an all-time high. It's just a matter of patience. And yeah, we'll see what happens. And I have like other holdings too. Like Ethereum is amazing. What they're doing with like all the different or all of the different platforms that are using Ether is just awesome. The video games, basically the Pokemon Go knockoff that's being created, Elysium I think it's called, or Elysium or something like that. It's pretty cool. But yeah. And then last question is gonna come from B Moore, or Moore. Is there a Chaos Navigator group? If not, how could Chaos travel? They enslave navigators, they enslave astropaths, and it's actually really terrible and brutal. Check out the fan animation Death of Hope. That gives you kind of a glimpse as to like the cultists and how like they basically just follow the Chaos Space Marines around. That was during the Horus Heresy. Then the fan animation was during the Horus Heresy, but it's kind of still the same thing where like Chaos Space Marines and Chaos Forces view all of these navigators and astropaths as nothing more than just like tools, slaves and stuff like that. So there's no like huge organization or there's no monolithic group, but there are a bunch of slaves and stuff like that. But those are the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for me, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. This is Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate signing out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.